Ruben Amorim really doesn't rate many of the players at Manchester United. He's made that clear in comments. He's also only been impressed by one academy star. Now everyone's confused to why Dorgu played on the right, Delo played on the left, and then Dorgu, who was a lot better than Delo, came up at half time. Ruben Amorim has spoken out about Dorgu and that sort of decision. He's spoken out about Højlund, the transfer plans. United have been linked to Xavi Simons and more. So, hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news roundup, where we're going to be discussing all the news and having a little touch upon a few other sort of topics that have come out. Now, obviously, we beat Leicester 2-1 yesterday. We beat them because of an offside goal. They outplayed us, but we did enough probably in the last 20 minutes to win that game because we created enough chances because it took us, 70 minutes to show up. And thank you, Garnacho. Thank you, Xerxes. But it wasn't a convincing win. And Ruben Amorim is not convinced by this United squad. So there's always been the talk of play the youth. But it's very obvious the only youth player he rates right now is Kukonki, because Kukonki's the only youth player to ever actually make the bench. And it's been said that it's understood that Ruben Amorim assessed academy youngsters in his first training session in November, and Godwall Kukonki was the only prospect who made an impression on the head coach. This was said by Steve Ralston, that is like an academy journalist. That's what he specialises in. Obviously, Aiden Heaven's in now, so that's Godwall Kukonki back into the academy. He just turned 17 last week, so that's fine. He's so young. Aiden Heaven's obviously the one that's going to be highest rated. Obviously, we've got people like Shea Lacey that's back from his injury, who's probably the highest rated player in the United Academy, but's been injured for like a full year on and off. He's been really lucky. But what I heard behind the scenes about 2 months ago was that Ruben Amorim was going to use preseason as an opportunity to take another look at the academy players, and is reluctant to throw them in this environment. Cheeto is one that he knows is highly rated. Apparently, he was. I heard something. He was impressed with Jack. Was it Jack Morehouse? And a couple of players in the 21s, but Seko Kone, Obi Martin, those kind of players are more likely to be looked at preseason. Obi Martin could get a 10-minute cameo off the bench. You never know this season. Same with a couple of players. But it's more about looking at the youngsters in preseason. Godwall Kukonki's the one that really took his liking, hence why he'd made the match. They scored a few times. But now Aiden Heaven's in. Obviously, there's no need for Godwall Kukonki just yet. And also, if Godwall Kukonki was like 20, like Collier, it's different. But he's literally just turned 17. People forget how young he is. But Shea Lacey's back from injury. Mantato, I believe, is on the way back from injury. And they're two players that I think Amorim would like, but they just need to stay fit. But let's talk about the United squad, because Amorim has made it clear on many occasions he doesn't rate the United squad. He said yesterday on Erik ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy, they were better than me in training the team. It's really hard because I'm a really proud guy, but I take this normally. It's not awkward. He was saying, how Erik ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy were so much better at him at training this team, at getting this team to do this, at getting this team to do that. And that is basically Ruben Amorim saying, this team is crap. Erik ten Hag can do a better job in training this team. Ruud van Nistelrooy can do a better job in training this team. He can't understand it. That is Ruben Amorim's way of taking a bit of a dig at the Manchester United squad. He's hard. He's struggling to train this team. He's struggling to get them to do this. He's struggling to get them to do that. It's him subtly basically saying he doesn't rate the squad. We know from Amorim. He says Højlund can't score because he doesn't have the quality around him. He's not getting the ball. But we also know he doesn't rate Højlund because he played Maino at 9, and we know that he doesn't rate Højlund or Xerxes. He wants a striker. He told Wilcox he desperately needs a striker and wing-backs. And he made jokes of it being the worst United side ever, although he said it was a dig at himself. He probably wasn't wrong, and he probably thinks that this is one of the worst teams ever. Let's be honest. There was other things he said about the current situation of it's really difficult just the way we lose sometimes. I understand that there have been a lot of games without training, but even in this context, I feel like we should do better. He can't believe how bad we've been in the games that we lose. He's thinking, why are we losing like that? Why are we that poor? Why was the first 60 minutes versus Leicester so poor? 60 minutes versus Southampton so poor? The Brighton game so poor? Why was the Crystal Palace game so awful? We are losing games, but he can't believe the context in which we're losing. He can't believe that we're playing that bad. And he said, one thing I've learned is that in the good times or bad, my mind is clear that I make some decisions without worrying about other things. I just want to help the team win, and I know we can turn it around. I know we have to survive right now, because in football, when you don't win, you have problems. He's talking about survival. He's talking about, Ruben Amorim does not rate this Man United squad one bit. And it's very obvious. It's not his squad. The only player he's brought in is Dorgu. That was subbed off. We're going to talk about what Amorim has said on Dorgu and that in a minute. But we don't have the profiles for Amorim, Ball. Now, look, for me, Amorim's going to need time to succeed. This is a squad that Ten Hag couldn't succeed with, and these were Ten Hag's players. Amorim needs time. The players are the biggest problem. They didn't show the intensity. They didn't try yesterday. But there's things that Amorim is getting wrong that do concern me. The Dorgu at right wing back, the low at left wing back, some of the substitutions, some of the decisions. But if Amorim is going to succeed at United, he needs another wing back. He needs a striker who's in his prime and consistently scoring. He needs a ball carrier number 10, a Morgan Rogers Cunha type player. He needs a midfielder that's good on the ball that can make progressive passes. And he needs a wide channel defender who's strong in possession and build-up play. That's what he needs if he's going to succeed. And those players need to be able to deal with the physical and technical demands as well. But let's continue on. What did Amorim say on his Patrick Dorgu decision? Because he played Dorgu on the right and Delo on the left. And everyone's confused because Delo stinks up on the left. Dorgu can play on the left and the right, which is great. And this is why I've said we could always bring in a Kirkes, because if Kirkes gets injured, Dorgu goes on the left. We play Kirkes and Dorgu together. Kirkes is Premier League proven, left wing back, right wing back. I've always said that I want Kirkes still. But sometimes you need a left foot on the right-hand side to connect in a different way. Sometimes you need a right foot to connect and cross the ball more like that. But we've already got Ahmad, who's left-footed on the right-hand side. So Dorgu playing on the right-hand side because he's left-footed made no sense, I think, for me personally. He said, Ruben Amorim said, you will see more of Patrick Dorgu if you'll see more of Patrick Dorgu on the right-hand side. He said, yes. If you see the history of Dorgu, he played a lot of games on the right, and we have wingers that can play both sides like Delo. Delo, for me, is better on the right. He can play both sides, but he's better on the right. Dorgu's probably better on the left in the wing-back role. He's played right wing and left back for Lecce, if we're going to be more honest about his positions. But he was talking about Dorgu and having, he wanted a left footer on the right. But he said he has the pace, he has the strength, he will improve a lot. We as a team need to play better to help these guys. You can see on Wisecout he plays both sides. But he was asked about why Dorgu was played at right wing back, and it was that so he could communicate with him easier. And he said he was trying to help Dorgu manage the game. He had 3 training sessions, so that was hard with him. The communication helped, but it wasn't like that. So another reason could be because Amorim could communicate more with Dorgu being on his side because he's not had much time in training. Now, I want to see Dorgu left wing back. I think, Dorgu's come off because he's not had enough time in training. Amorim wants to communicate with him more than what he wants. But I don't think Dorgu should have come off. Like, Amorim's the manager at the end of the day. But I thought Dorgu was having a much better game than Delo. I thought Dorgu looked like he had some intent about him. I quite liked Dorgu. I'm surprised that he's the one that came off, and I'm quite baffled by that decision from Ruben Amorim. But it's something about wanting a left footer on the right, and that he could talk to Dorgu. And honestly, it doesn't make sense to me. Look, I want Ruben Amorim to succeed. I'm worried about what I've seen under Ruben Amorim, elements of it so far. I can't lie to you. But until Ruben Amorim's had his signings in, and I just named the 5 signings that he needs to come in, it's going to be difficult to judge because these are not his players, these are not his systems. But I think he's getting things wrong. I will say that. He said on Højlund, a striker needs a very good team to deliver balls for him, and we're not helping our strikers at the moment. He's basically saying, well, Højlund can't do much because he hasn't got good players around him, basically. But then Højlund's also not very good because Højlund, when he does get the ball, his touch is poor. I don't think Højlund's a bad player. I think Højlund could develop into a good player, but he's frustrating with his touch. He doesn't rate these players, Ruben Amorim. It's so clear. Amorim was asked about who's responsible for signings at United. He said, like I said in the first day, every player that came into the team, I have the final word, but we do it all together. So I don't just point the names. I define to Jason Wilcox the profile one, and we have a scouting department that does the job. And that's how recruitment should be done. And the most important thing in 2025 is getting recruitment right. If we get recruitment right, I believe that Amorim can succeed as Manchester United coach. But the most important thing we do in 2025 is get recruitment right. Amorim will probably need the 5 profiles I named, another wing back, a ball carrier in the 10 row, a striker that can actually score, a centre back that can play out from the back and defend the wide channels, a midfielder that can progress the ball. The scouts will go out and find those players. They will discuss them with Amorim. Amorim will put his input in. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. They were talking of transfer links because Xavi Simons could play in the 10 role, but I think Cunha and Morgan Rogers are more suited. It was said that Manchester United are interested in Xavi Simons as part of Ruben Amorim's search for dynamic attackers suitable for his 3-4-3 system. RB Leipzig are open to selling Simons for a profit after acquiring him from PSG for 42 million. I thought RB Leipzig got him for like 60, 70 million, not 42 million. Also, I don't think Ekram Konar is the most reliable source, but United have had long-standing interest in Xavi Simons. But what I'm thinking, and this is just a fear of mine, if Rashford does well at Villa, there's a 40 million buy option in the Rashford doing well at Villa. I think he wants Barcelona. Who knows if he'll go to Villa. But I do think, Morgan Rogers, maybe that if Rashford does really well at Villa, it could improve our relationship with Villa. Let's say Rashford goes to Villa on it permanently. Maybe, obviously, they'll pay him for 40 million, but maybe we can use that to say, would you give us a fair price for Morgan Rogers? But then would Morgan Rogers want to leave Villa for United? I don't know. It depends. If Villa get in the Champions League, I don't know if he'd want to leave Villa for United. But yeah, who knows with that? But I'd like Morgan Rogers. I'd like Cunha. But listen, people, thank you for watching today's video. Please do go ahead and hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below. follow if you're new. I'll be back tonight with a live show. Thank you for watching. Bye.